All right, welcome YouTube viewers. I've got with me here former chief meteorologist of KTUL, Mike Collier. And boy, Mike, you worked here for so many years, and there are so many big weather stories that you covered here in Green Country. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of your memories of those and what you're doing now. So maybe we can talk about your favorite weather event, your most memorable one.
Going through the day on our Sunday, they will really begin to pick up.
Yeah, I spent 16 years here. I can't believe I'm back. It's kind of surreal, just because I grew up here. You know what I mean? I was a kid, 19 years old when I first walked through the door over here.
Wow.
You know, had a wonderful mentor and was able to kind of move up from intern to morning to chief meteorologist eventually. But we covered a lot of weather events, Kevin. Then we had the big blizzard in 2011.
You know, and sometimes you mark the calendar of your life by these big weather events, and you just remember the years. And one storm in particular, it's funny you mentioned the blizzard in 2005-06.
Sure.
Because I think when I was living in Nebraska at that time, it was a Christmas Eve blizzard. I think it was the same one
Probably so,
that hit us. As you said, I'm from the area, living in Nebraska for so many years. I worked there almost as long as you worked here.
Okay.
So now that I'm here in Oklahoma, it's the weather. We'll stick to the weather because I know we've got people that say, "Oh, I hate Nebraska, I hate Oklahoma," and it's a fun rivalry. It's rooted in sports for the most part.
Yeah.
But the weather is so similar with the heat waves and with the Dust Bowl years of the 1930s. But snow in particular, it's not very common around here. But you were lucky enough to be here for the biggest storm in history for this area.
Yeah, and you know, we haven't had a whole lot of winter major events since then, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, 2011, so that was the blizzard 2011. Everybody was just locked in, stuck at home. You couldn't get out. I mean, we had 12 to 13 inches of snow with up to 2 to 3 feet of snow in drifts in some areas. So imagine you're coming up here to Lookout Mountain.
Jeez.
What they do is you'd park down the street here at the church, and then they'd bring in the big dualies to come lift you and pull you back up here. So it was quite interesting. My wife, that month, we found out that we were pregnant. So, you know, that's one of those things. You have a blizzard, and then you find out you're pregnant, and you're just two big, memorable life events for me because we're just all enthralled with weather. But then I had to go back to work. And then that summer, we had the summer heat of 2011, which was the hottest summer on record. So the polar opposites from blizzards to major heat created a very interesting year.
So I'm guessing your wife must have been really happy about the hottest summer on record when she was well into her pregnancy.
Yeah. She'll never, ever forget that.
Oh, man.
Especially with your first child. You don't know what you're doing anyway, and you're like, oh, I'm just trying to suffer through this summer. But I have pictures of her where she's literally sticking her tongue out at me like, this is awful. You know, and I don't blame her one bit.
My third child was, my wife was pregnant with her when in Nebraska when there was a tornado warning, and she was very far along in the pregnancy, so it was touch and go. I had to run into the station because we had someone who was supposed to be there and wasn't, so I had to run in to cover this tornado warning, which included the city we were in.
Oh, wow.
So she had to take my other two kids and her pregnant belly and go in the shelter, and I'm going to work scared out of my mind that something's going to happen to them, and I'm going to get in there and cover this tornado. But I'll tell you what, though, my daughter was born, everything was fine. The name I picked was Mariah, because Mariah means wind. And I'm like, that's perfect. It's a cute name.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it, and my wife was like, nah, I don't like it. And, okay, so she relented, and now it's my third daughter's middle name.
I also want to touch on the history of Channel 8 and weather. Don Woods was the premier go-to weather guy starting out when television first started getting going and started getting big. Everybody knows, I mean, you could go around Oklahoma, anybody over the age of 35 knows Gusty. You know what I mean? They grew up. I remember growing up watching Don pick the Gusty of the day, and it was just so cool. He'd go and do his forecast and then draw it, and you're mesmerized by it. And then we've had great chief meteorologists here since that time that have led the Oklahoma area. We had Viper Tornado Tracker. We were the first ones to have that in the state of Oklahoma. We were the first ones to have our own live radar here in eastern Oklahoma with Doppler 8000. So Channel 8 was, and it continues to be, the weather leader here in eastern Oklahoma. And, you know, there's just a lot of rich weather history at this station. And I don't think people should ever forget that. I mean, the amount of resources this station has provided over the years is insurmountable.
It's a great point, Mike, and I know you were a big part of that as well. And that gusty image is indelible for so many Oklahomans.
Yeah.
It's just, and it must be surreal for you. Like you said, you were a kid in Oklahoma, and all of a sudden you're here, and you became the chief.
It was crazy. Yeah, I dreamt of being here as a kid. Honestly, I took a tour of here when I was in 3rd grade. And a true story, I'll never forget. I was walking right through here, and because they were doing 2 groups of tours. I was walking in, my other friend was walking out, and he pointed at me. He knew I wanted to be in weather. He's like, Mike, you'll never work here. Ha, ha, ha. Walked out. And then I spent 16 years here, so I showed him.
You showed him. That's beautiful. Hey, well, thank you for the kind words, Mike.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And I'm so glad that you made it here, and your memories are great, and it's such a big part of KTUL. Thanks for joining us for this YouTube special, getting to know and remember Mike Collier. And 70 years down, my friends, and we're still going.